Number 10. Tumbleweed. Abandoned. In the southern county of New Austin, there's a peculiar little town called Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed is basically abandoned in the first game, but Red Dead 2 is a prequel, and in it, the town is doing pretty good despite taking place only 4 years prior to the first game. What happened here is a mystery that actually mirrors real life. There's a rail line that services Armadillo that completely bypasses Tumbleweed, which seriously hurt the local businesses, just completely cut them off. It's also mentioned in the Blackwater Ledger, the in-game newspaper, that wagon after wagon of families have been seen leaving the town. In Red Dead 2, when we meet the Tumbleweed sheriff, a ruthless man named Sam Freeman, he's seen executing a member of the Del Lobo gang without any questioning or trial, and claims he wouldn't hesitate to do it again. He wants to make Tumbleweed a shining light of American obedience, and this could be the final straw that led to the town becoming abandoned altogether. Number 9. Need a hand? Some players have found that if you go fishing behind the mayor's house in story mode, you can catch something rather disturbing. A human arm. Whose arm is this? Why is it here? It turns out that this is related to a stranger mission called Idealism and Pragmatism for Beginners. In the mission, the player visits a fancy Saint Denis mansion party, the home of Mayor Henry Lemieux. The mayor tasks the player with finding and intimidating newspaper tycoon Hector Fellows. After this, we return to the mayor only to discover that his right-hand man, Jean-Marc, is threatening to expose the mayor for these intimidation tactics. The player is then tasked with capturing Jean-Marc so the mayor can talk to him. In the end, the player has to decide, kill Jean-Marc or set him free. If you do decide to kill him, his body is dumped in the river, and when you return to this area later and go fishing, you might catch these hands. Hey guys, if you like this video and you want to see more of this type of stuff, make sure you hit that like button. Number 8. The Night Folk. In Red Dead Redemption 2, there's an area known as the Bayou NWA, a foggy, spooky swampland that is home to gators and moonshiners. Riding through this area at night is already pretty spooky, but if you're in the area around 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., really late at night, you might be attacked by the Night Folk. Sporting tattered, dirty clothes and white face paint, these guys are terrifying and will definitely give you a fright. They set up traps and ambush travelers like the player, attacking with machetes and torches, but they never speak, just making creepy animal noises to signal one another. After the first time the player is ambushed by the Night Folk, when your heart finally stops pounding, there's a chance of coming across a stranger who needs help dealing with the Night Folk, like it unlocks a stranger mission, so watch your back in the bayou. Number 7. The Blackwater Athletics team. If you're the kind of gamer who picks up every item and reads every note, you may have figured this one out on your own. While riding around tall trees, you might happen across a pile of bodies in a hole in the ground. Specifically, you can find them south of the letter L in West Elizabeth on the world map. The corpses are all dressed in football uniforms, sporting the letter B on the front. The simple truth can be found once again in the newspaper. The article is found in Blackwater Ledger number 69 and explains that the members of the Blackwater Athletics Club have been missing for several days, and despite a thorough search of the area, have not been found. This is rumored to be in reference to a real-life Colombian football team that was kidnapped and killed, leaving only one survivor. Number 6. Bright Bouncing Boy. Fans of Grand Theft Auto might notice similarities in this stranger mission that has you piloting a remote control submarine, similar to the infamous annoying RC helicopter mission in Vice City. Meeting inventor Marko Dragic near a pond in Saint Denis, the player helps demonstrate to some folks how this little machine works. If you visit him at his workshop in Dover Hill later in the game after this, there's more to the inventor's tale. The character and his workshop are based on real-world inventor Nikola Tesla, and the in-game workshop is almost an exact replica of Tesla's real-world workshop. Arriving here, the player helps him fire up some electronics, and he reveals his latest creation, a life-size robot. Returning to the workshop later, we find he's tragically died. Collecting some notes around the area reveals more about his intentions, but the coolest part of this mystery is the end. Once all this stuff is concluded, if you're ever wandering northwest of the Grizzlies, you'll find the robot sitting alone at the peak of a mountain saying, "Papa," again and again. Maybe he regrets what he's done? Number 5. Constipated Man. In the town of Valentine, there's a hotel that the player can visit to have a bath or to rest up for the night. But rest might be difficult, as you can hear a man moaning and hollering and making all sorts of commotion behind closed doors. It sounds like something kind of wild is going on in his room, but if you grab up a newspaper in Valentine, you'll find that it's all just an epic potty joke. This man, known as Mr. Presley, is suffering from a disease of the bowels and is quarantining at the hotel. tell. This could be a reference to Elvis Presley given the last name and the fact that he's likely going to die on the toilet. Number 4. Mystery of the Meteorites. In the story mode, just west of Brandywine Drop, there's a house that's been smashed in by a meteor. If you travel further northwest, you can find a crater and there's a second meteor in it. Interestingly, when you pick one of these up, the game says 1 out of 3 and then 2 out of 3, implying that there's some third meteor somewhere to be found. It's also rumored that visiting this area at night, you can see some shooting stars in the sky. Sadly, in 2 years of the Red Dead community searching and searching, this mystery is still unsolved. Some people claim that it's a glitch and there is no third meteor. Only time will tell. Number 3. The Ghost of Agnes Dowd. If you're feeling brave, ride around the Blue Water Marsh area at night in foggy weather and you might hear the haunting cries of a woman. This is the ghost of Agnes Dowd, a terrifying specter trapped in this world, reliving her final moments. Arrive at the right spot and you'll witness her ghost replaying the final moments of her life in random order, each with a different scene happening every time you visit the area, up to a total of 16 different times. This is the kind of spook that keeps you coming back for more. In Shady Bell, you can find her tombstone, which reads, Agnes Dowd, age 19, tragically took her life and others. Number 2. Mount Shan Mystery. North of Emerald Station, you can find a super creepy abandoned hut, full of skeletons in beds, with one corpse sitting at the front of the room facing the rest. There's a note labeled Sermon, and in it there's mention of the second hour under the moon, a savior named Kukawaba, voyager of time and galaxies, and something about worshipping at Mount Shan. This makes sense given that there are some strange drawings in the game that could be interpreted as hinting at aliens existing. If you come back to this area around 2 a.m., the room is filled with a strange green light, and looking up through the ceiling you can actually see a UFO hovering over the hut. Head over to Mount Shan at 2 a.m. and you'll see a similar sight, although this UFO is a little bit smaller. The rest of this mystery is still unsolved. Perhaps the cultists sacrificed themselves to these aliens? Maybe the aliens experimented on them and stole their souls? The theories surrounding this are endless, and given that we also witness UFO activity in Grand Theft Auto 5, it's possible evidence that the games take place in the same universe. And now, number 1. The Strange Man's Cabin. The Strange Man is an enigmatic figure, possibly intended to resemble God or Satan. He appears in both Red Dead Redemption games and is likely a mystery that won't be understood anytime soon. East of Hillhaven Ranch, there's a location known as the Strange Man's Cabin. Paintings inside the cabin change depending on the player's honor level, showing vultures and coyotes if you have low honor, or eagles and bucks if the player's honor level is high. A dead gator can be found beneath the cabin, and if you take a photo here and upload it to Rockstar Social Club, the location is tagged as serial killer. The Strange Man character could be a reference to Mark Twain's novel The Mysterious Stranger, who is also a character referenced in the Fallout series of games. Both of these games have morality systems and narratives that often remark upon humanity's hypocrisy and other moral paradoxes. But whether he's God, the devil, or just some representation of karma, it's exactly this type of stuff that has Red Dead players searching every nook and cranny and uncovering these fascinating mysteries.
Number 10. The Empty Litter Box. The strange mystery comes out of specific furniture you can access in Animal Crossing. You can find little pet beds and litter boxes for your potential furry feline pets, and yet there seems to be no way to get one of your own. Is it possible that this is a world where the cats who roam your villages were once domesticated pets, but who have now somehow evolved to become more sentient beings? And that these pieces of furniture are simply relics of the old world? Or are there pet versions of cats somewhere out there? And how different are they than the villagers that you call your neighbors? And also, if so, where did all those cats go? Number 9. Making murderers. One of the neat things in Animal Crossing is how much you can customize the game, building your own clothes patterns and even your own art to decorate with. However, is this just to give you freedom of expression, or is something more insidious happening here? For some reason, many have been drawn to using the design tools in the game to create all kinds of horrific decor when it comes to wallpaper and flooring, and even when it comes to art. Creating blood splatter designs, which they then place throughout their island to make it resemble some kind of horrific murder scene. People have also been drawn to creating occult symbols as well in the game. Is this just horror enthusiasts having some good old horror inspired fun? Or is there some subliminal messaging in the game that could be inspiring people to create these kinds of designs? Some secret Cthulhu melodies hidden within the soothing Animal Crossing music. Probably not. But really, it's a fun conspiracy to consider. I don't think Animal Crossing will make you evil. But maybe it will. Number 8. Brain dead. What's strange in the game is that not all animals seem to be created equal when it comes to their sentience. Some animals get to be your neighbors who can walk, talk, explore, and live in houses, while others are resigned to simply being the creatures that get fished out of the rivers or sea, or the birds that serve simply to notify you of new messages on the message board. And yet there are no other wild animals to be seen or heard of. How come there are wild animals like the white owl on the notification board, but then there are also evolved and intelligent owls like Blathers and Celeste? What makes them different? Is it possible that these other creatures who are not able to talk are being punished for something? That they have somehow had their brain capacity reduced? And if so, who would do such a thing and why? What did these former animal villagers do to deserve such a repetitive fate? Number 7. Abel and Nook. The Abel sisters are the seamstress sisters who will visit your town, city, or island and eventually set up their shop there. Originally, you believe there are just 2 of them, till it's revealed they also have a third estranged sister who changed her name to LaBelle, but used to be known as Label. Their whole backstory is pretty tragic, to be honest, but the more you get to know and connect with Sable, the elder of the original 2 as the games go on, the more you will learn about their backstory. One interesting fact is that Sable Abel knew Tom Nook when he was a young raccoon, who she described as having a very pure spirit. They used to write letters to one another, and each night before she went to sleep, Sable used to wish that Tom Nook's spirit would always remain as pure. Sometimes Tom Nook even acknowledges this past relationship. The question is, will we see them reunite in New Horizons? And will we potentially learn more about their relationship and possibly their past romance? Is it also possible that Nook was somehow involved in the Abel sisters' tragic past, so that he could remain close to Sable, who perhaps distanced herself somewhat when Nook became a less innocent and powerful entrepreneur, losing some of that pure spirit, no doubt, that she loved about him? Did he cause tragedy so that she would have to come to his towns? Number 6. Staff homes. A curious thing that we never see in the game is where the staff sleep. Well, except for Blathers. We know he's always standing at his post in the museum. Blathers never even goes outside, or goes to the bathroom, it seems. He is always at the front of the museum and just sleeps there during the day, though he doesn't seem to mind even if you interrupt his slumber for an inquiry or a donation. Dutiful owl that he is. But we also don't know where Timmy and Tommy sleep, or where Tom Nook or Isabel sleeps either. Is there a secret entrance somewhere to their underground homes? Do they live in their respective work buildings? And if they do, how do they get up to potentially the 2nd level, where I'm assuming they sleep? Where are the stairs? Do they use a ladder as we do to climb outside in New Horizons? Do they live underwater? And why doesn't Blathers get a home, or ever get to take a break? Or is there a clone of Blathers that's relieving him? Number 5. Your father is dead, and your mom likely killed him. Or is at least covering up that he's potentially passed on. Your mom in the game Animal Crossing will frequently send you mail, though you can never respond to her or attempt to contact your father either. However, while your mother writes often and sends you gifts, your father is remarkably silent in the letters department. You might hear about him from your mom, but usually that is to acknowledge how flawed this mysterious man is. And he will occasionally write to you on Father's Day, but doesn't really say much about himself, making me think that someone is impersonating him, and perhaps your mother is even writing these Father Day letters each year to hide the truth from you, or protect you from the fact that he passed while you were away. He also sends you a carnation on Father's Day. While red carnations are typically a symbol of love and admiration, carnations themselves are a popular Mother's Day flower, with pink carnations even being closely associated with the symbol of motherhood, with the Christian legend suggesting that they sprang up from the earth, growing from Virgin Mary's tears. Number 4. Haunted gyroids. Gyroids are currently missing from the world of New Horizons. In previous games, these were the fun, fire hydrant looking pieces of furniture who made music while flailing their arms around. In fact, you could activate them in a specific order in an effort to recreate known tunes, or simply to make your own music. In the Japanese version, they are referred to as hinawa. Hinawa in Japanese culture are an actual thing, but They are known as being burial figures, statues buried with the dead. So if gyroids can move and sing, it's possible that they are not just fun pieces of musical furniture, but are instead burial statues, which are haunted by spirits that are crying out via their sporadic movements and music to be freed from their clay prison. Number 3. Enslaved gyroids. If gyroids aren't haunted figures, they might be something even worse, and this theory could explain why we have yet to see them turn up in Animal Crossing New Horizons, other than the gyroid NPC known as Lloyd. With Lloyd being first introduced in Animal Crossing City Folk and appearing as an anthropomorphic gyroid who is not furniture but is actually sentient, has a job, and can speak, it begs the question, how come the other gyroids were resorted to being mere furniture? Are they also sentient, but we simply have somehow enslaved them to be used only as furniture? Or is Lloyd some kind of magical or haunted being all his own, and it's the other gyroids that are the standard? Is Lloyd furniture come to life, or have we unknowingly participated in enslaving a group of sentient beings that are the gyroids? Number 2. FNAF crossover? Zipper T Bunny is a character who many believe is actually not a real bunny and is someone in a bunny suit in disguise. There have been various theories, with many Animal Crossing fans believing for a long time that Zipper T Bunny was the former mayor in Animal Crossing Tortimer. However, this theory was disproved due to them both being around at the same time. So, who is Zipper T Bunny, and why does he or she not want anyone to know their true identity? What if it's because Zipper T isn't even from the Animal Crossing games, but is a murderer who is used to dressing up in a bunny costume from another franchise? That's right, Zipper T could very well be William Afton, who is going undercover in Animal Crossing trying to hide. More specifically, as Glitch Trap even, trying to hide in the code of another game to avoid getting deleted. Unfortunately, while this is one of my favorite conspiracy theories, other than the two sharing similarities in terms of design, that's kind of all we have really to support this conspiracy. As Zipper T Bunny first appeared in Animal Crossing City Folk in 2008, while the first Five Nights at Freddy's game did not come out till 2014. But hey, this could be a fun crossover fact we could see retconned or hinted at in the future. Who knows? Animal Crossing, FNAF, call each other. Number 1. Tortimer is dead. Before New Horizons was even released, fans were concerned at the lack of Tortimer that we were seeing. The elderly tortoise was known for his role as the town mayor previously, but in New Horizons that's now kind of your role as the player. So what happened to old Tort? Well, in New Leaf he retired, but we have yet to see him in New Horizons, making everyone believe that he died. People even thought his tomb was visible in previews leading up to the game's launch. I personally wouldn't be surprised if Franklin cooked him into one of the Harvest Festival feasts as revenge for Tortimer trying to serve him as the main course during the festival all those years ago.